We are live. Great. I think we're live. Let us know if you can hear us, everyone. Great.
Okay.
I think we're live. Let us know if you can hear.
So that's working okay. Let's go.
Yeah, everything's looking good. Just testing the audio. Let us know, everyone, as soon as you can hear us. Yeah, it's looking good.
All right. Good. Well, hi, Josh.
Hey, Cam. Good morning. We're
Good
currently on
morning.
opposite sides of
Good
the
evening.
planet.
We are. Okay, so welcome everyone. We're going to get started. So a little bit about what we're going to cover in this live stream. We're going to talk a little bit about Super. We're going to talk a little bit about Notion sites, and we're going to work on a site and show a few of the new features that we've recently built, and also jump into some questions. And so if you've got some other questions, jump into the chat on the YouTube stream and let us know. So I'm Cam. I'm head of customer and product at Super, and I've been here for about 3 years. And we also have Josh.
Hey, everyone. I am lead designer at Super. Um, yeah, been with the company a good couple of years now. It's been a pleasure to work with Cam and the other team to create such an awesome product. But yeah, bear with us with this. It's the first time doing a live stream. Technical problems are already arising. I can hear myself sometimes as we speak, but we'll get there.
Yeah, cool. All right. So, just to recap on a couple of things, what is Super? So, Super is the website builder for Notion, and Super allows you to customize and deploy your website on a really robust and fast platform. Um, and it's mainly the customization features that of Super that give your Notion pages, that personal look and feel that you need for your own website. And so we're going to go over some of that sort of stuff today, as well as some of the new customization features that we've built as well, and some of the things that are in the works as well. So Notion is an integral part of what Super does, and it allows for the drag and drop content management. And the thing I love about working with Notion is that I can just stay focused on my content and organize that in all sorts of different ways. Um, and then let Super publish the website. And it's sort of how I discovered Super, because I was using Notion as a way to capture a whole lot of information as I was doing some study a few years ago. And I was thinking, oh, this would be really great to turn into a website. And I was looking for a solution, and that's when Super launched. And so I discovered Super that way. And I still prefer to capture all of my content, all of my knowledge, all of the stuff that I need to keep track of in my life in Notion. And for some of that, I like to turn it into a website. And so Super takes those pages, turns them into a website for me pretty well automatically, and I can go live. And I did this again with another site over the last couple of months as I was doing some more study. And rather than building a presentation, I built a website for people to go and walk through and learn about the stuff that I'd put together. So that's the main thing for me around what Super is and how it works with Notion. Josh, is there anything else that we should cover in that? Because I can go into how Super is different from Notion.
Yeah, no, I think you covered the bases there. It was pretty much the same for me, I think, and a lot of our users that Notion is the home for a lot of content, whether it's life or work, and to be able to swiftly and quickly turn that into a website is a real pleasure. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's not many steps required to go from Notion to Super. And now that Notion has released their Notion sites, it's a kind of a validation of how of our thinking around Super as a concept. That Notion wants to try and integrate some of those features directly into the product. And there's not many steps required to go from Notion sites to Super. Basically, you'll be publishing the Notion pages, taking that URL and dropping it into Super. And that's really the only extra step, is dropping it into Super. What Super will do on top of that is give you the pretty URLs, which the Notion sites doesn't do. And also, within Super, we allow you to do more customization. So applying more branding options, different colors, rather than just standard Notion colors, as well as the ability to add a whole lot of custom code, or even use a template with sort of predefined styling and that sort of thing. The other thing about what Super does is it's really responsive and works really well on mobiles, and it does that right out of the box. What we've found with some Notion pages, depending on what's on the page, it's not as responsive as what it could be. And so it's one of the things that was built into Super right at the start, which was the mobile responsiveness. The other thing that we have that we launched a couple of months ago is some new and better navigation, and this is really important for live sites. Sorry, live sites, large sites. So there's things like the sidebar navigation, the footer, and also the nav bar, and all of those can have lists, so you can have multiple layers of menu structure. And this is really an essential thing for anyone who's got a reasonably large site with multiple sections and multiple pages. And the thing that I really love about this new navigation is the ability to set up one list of menu items, but choose which items appear in different navigation menus. And this is really good, going back to the mobile responsiveness stuff. If you set up a sidebar, so you've got a documentation site and you set up a sidebar, you can, when you view that site on mobile, that sidebar turns into a hamburger menu, and you can change which items will appear in the hamburger. Say you might want a subset or a reduced list for better usability on mobile. And so I really love that you can actually have the one list, but customize where it appears in different parts of the site. The other thing we're talking about is the better page performance, which is really important for SEO and customer experience. And it's the real experience that people have of the site. Super has always built static versions of the pages that just really perform really well. Incredibly fast, as well as the switch between one page and the next. With this upgrade to Super 3.1, what's happening underneath is that we're able to preload some of the pages, so that when the navigation happens, so you move from one part of the site to another, that switch happens instantaneously. And the contrast, what's happening in Notion, what's always happened in Notion, is they're dynamically building the page. Which is really great for getting the latest version of the content, but it's not so great for the customer experience of interacting with the site. So getting the latest version of the content is really, really important. And we've made some improvements to how sync works. And that's one of the things that I'd really like to go through today, because I think it's working with your content in Notion and how that looks in Super and on your live site is a really important process. So let's cover that a little bit later when we're going through the demo, Josh.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to say there, I think a lot of users are going to be super happy about the small improvement we made. Well, I'd say small, but it's actually quite a big improvement we made to how Notion and Super sites sync, because there's always been a little delay between, the Notion content and Super, and you might have to press the refresh button a couple of times until you get the up-to-date content. And it's always been a pain point for people, and it was a technical hurdle for us. We had to work with the developers. And really just communicate how users expect things to work and discover the technical abilities to implement such a feature. And we're super happy to get that done. And it's super magical when you go from Notion, make a small change, straight to Super, refresh, and boom, it's like instant now.
Yeah,
So yeah, good job, developers.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll go through that, and it was one of the things that was kind of sitting behind the thinking that we had was we want Super to feel magical in the way that content flows through, and it should be seamless and automatic, and you have that magical feel. And there's the balance between that kind of experience and then the how many times we're syncing with Notion and the demand on Notion to continue to serve the updates, as well as the page performance and for people who are visiting your site. And if we're constantly updating, there's some challenges there. So we're dealing with caching on the Notion side, caching on the Super side, and then how do we do the sync so that it feels magical. So when we're building the demo site, we'll just go through how that works and what the best and fastest way to see content change come through to Super. And yeah, so shall we get into doing that now, Josh?
Yeah, sure. So just to introduce, we're gonna look at just kind of showing off for people that may have never used Super before, just how simple and easy it is to build a site with Super and Notion. And we're going to start in Notion. So I'm going to share Cam's screen right now. Um, so it'd also be good to know in the YouTube comments if you can still hear me whilst Cam is sharing his screen. Let me know. Great.
So is that shared now,
Yeah,
Josh?
your screen's being shared right now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what we have is it's essentially a blog site that we've built in Notion, and you can see here that we've got a cover image, the icon, the title, and then into the page, the page content itself. The blog is built using using a database, and we have a couple of different views of this database. We find that working with databases and Super is a really powerful way to build a site and have an incredible level of consistency of the site. Um, that sort of happens automatically, and there's some um, ways that you can customize different parts of the site as well based on the database structure. So what we have is the blog database here in the gallery, and we've created some other filtered views of that database based on the category of the content. We also have a list over here, which is another view of the same database, as well as some other information on the page as well. Now, there's a control panel down here. This is a brown toggle, and there's some custom code that we give out to hide brown toggles. This is a really neat way to hide stuff on your site that you don't want to appear on the live site. But the other thing that we can do is there is a setting that will hide page links. And so pages like this, about page and contact page, can just be hidden with a setting within the design tools within Super. So But at the moment, it's just a live Notion page. So I am going to copy this URL and I'm going to give that to Josh so that he can start to create the super site. So I've done that. So shall we swap over to you now,
Yeah.
Josh?
So hopefully you can all see my screen and hear me still, and also still hear Cam. Let us know. Um, so I've got the same Notion page up here. I'm going to simply copy after publishing and go ahead and create the site in Super. So it is as simple as pasting in the published URL, click and create. And there we go. So the site is now live technically, but we're inactive because we have a load of free accounts, free sites on our account. So in order to fix that, I'm going to upgrade the site. And then, as if by magic, we have the site live. And it pretty much at this point is it's reflective of the live Notion page. And at this point, it's not too dissimilar to what you could create with Notion sites. Um, we have all the components, all the blocks, and everything is looking good. So I think what we're going to explore next is adding some content and showing how the content updates in Super. So do you want to go ahead and add some content in the About page, Cam?
Sure. So if I go to the About page, at the moment that's got no content in it. And for when I'm drafting a site, I really love to be actually working with some content that kind of looks real. So I use the Notion AI for that. So I'm going to write an About page for the, what are we calling this site again? The Nomad Journal.
The Nomad Journal.
And rather than working with sort of the lorem ipsum placeholder content, I can get some real content here. So I'm just going to accept that. So, Josh, that's all done now. So, do you want to jump into Super and sync that through?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and just check that the content is here in Notion. And I think it's worth saying also at this point that when you're updating content in Notion, we actually recommend like working alongside the Super dashboard. Um, whilst relying on the content to update automatically is a thing that a lot of users do. If you want to see the content almost instantly updated on the live site, we recommend coming into the dashboard. So we head into the About page and you can see the content isn't there right now. If we hit the refresh button, magically the content now updates instantly. And if you want the content to be updated live, we recommend coming into the Super dashboard, hitting this refresh button, and you can rest assured knowing that the content on the live site is the same as what you see in Notion and in the Super dashboard. So that
And Josh, if you hover over the sync button, it will tell you the timestamp of the last Notion page update. So if you're making a change to a Notion page and you want to see if it's syncing, you can hover over that, check the timestamp, and see if what we have pulled from Notion is the most recent version. Now it takes Notion about 10 seconds to publish any updates because they've got caching around their API. But what we find is, like in this case here, updating the content, switching to Super, pressing the dashboard refresh button, that's enough time for that publishing to happen. Now, there's another tip as well, and that is if you are editing a block and the cursor is still within the block in Notion, that can delay the update. So I always recommend to people just to click outside a block that they might be editing,
yeah
and then it just makes that publishing process within Notion happen just a little bit faster. It's only about 10-20 seconds, but it does make a difference. Now the thing is that when Josh has pushed that refresh button, it's not only brought the content through to Super, but it's also expired the cache of that page. So if we jumped into the browser and had a look at the live site, we would see that the live site is showing the updated content right away.
Yeah, so just to show what Cam meant when he said to deselect the block, because this is something that I don't think many people are aware of, that if you're in Notion and you've edited some content and the block is still selected, I think Notion only recognizes the change as complete when you deselect the block, so selecting outside of that block and then coming over to Super and refreshing. So that's just how that works. And I think
Yeah.
just another thing to say is, as the designer for the software, there's many things I would love to spend hours improving. And I think one of the things we will work on in the future is communicating more clearly what is happening behind the scenes when you refresh and, the caching that Cam mentioned. So keeping people up to date throughout that entire process, just to ease and to make the clearer how the things working behind the scenes.
So can you open that in the live site in the browser now, Josh?
Yeah. Can you see my live stream, by the way, Cam?
I can only see what you're sharing in the YouTube feed, not in our streaming app.
Yeah, okay. So I've got the page open in Notion right now. Sorry, the live super site in the browser.
Okay, great. So and yeah, so just doing a simple refresh of the page on the live site will bring the content through, because when we use the dashboard refresh button, we expire the cache, and it just makes the sync through to the live site happen a lot faster. If you're using the live site visits to trigger the update, that will still happen automatically, but it's not going to happen live like it does when you're using the dashboard. The cache time is variable depending on what's happening on the server. Currently, I think it's ranging between 20 seconds and a minute, depending on what's happening. So the the automatic updates that are triggered by site visits will still happen, but they won't happen instantaneously. So when you're developing your site, you want to see changes flow through quickly, use the dashboard refresh button. Now, if you're doing custom code will flow through to the live site almost instantaneously. It will just take one refresh usually to bring the any custom code changes through, and that doesn't require you to push the dashboard refresh button. When you're making custom code changes, they will flow through to the live site pretty well instantaneously. So just a simple refresh or a forced refresh if you really want to be sure about it. But custom code is not affected by the same caching delay.
Yeah. So I think next, should we go through adding a few customizations and showing through a few features on adding more things to this little site, navbar, footer, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, cool. That'd be good.
Awesome. So here's the site pretty much by default. It's very similar and reflective of what you would see in Notion. So Cam mentioned earlier on, we've got these page links, and whilst we do have a custom code solution to hide things in a brown toggle, there's also a free feature in the design option. So if we come into design, layout, and we have this section here, Notion page links, we can simply hide them. Now, this is useful because we're going to use a navbar, sidebar, and footer to show links throughout our site, so we don't really need to show the Notion pages. So let's go ahead and quickly just add a navigation menu. So we recently revamped how navigation works in Super. So right now we don't have a navbar enabled. We can enable a simple one. hit save, and then we come into menu items to begin creating some items. So it's worth saying you can do this in Notion sites. Their feature is very limited right now, but the joy of the super navigation is that we can add call to actions, and this helps with business conversions, marketing. So we're going to add a few of those little items now. So one thing I noticed is since we've created this site, we haven't actually. One thing I like to do when I create a site is come into the pages and check that everything is being pulled through from Notion. And if it isn't, then we have this refresh page list button here. And hopefully when I press this, we're going to pull through our pages. So you can see there, the pages have appeared. So I think the more I use Super and the more I get used to how the platform works, I create a kind of like workflow every time I create a site. So working in Notion, coming over to Super, refreshing the dashboard, seeing the content update, and then when I'm happy, I head into the pages page, refresh there, and check that everything's been pulled through. And now that we have the pages, we can head into navigation, into the nav bar, and start adding some pages into our nav bar. So I'm going to just create a few here. And you can see the top right, we've got a link to the About page. And we could do, so much more customization on this. We can add lists by creating a list here, just as an example. I'm going to throw in and you can see we've got a hover effect that shows the list. And this is something that you can't really do in Notion sites. So as Cam mentioned earlier, you can build sites with many pages and make it easier for your users to navigate through. So I'm going to also add a footer. Just going to use the default style. And also just to show off a feature that we added recently. So this new navigation panel is completely revamped to allow for easier creation of your navigation menus. So now we can see we have this set item visibility toggle. If we click this, we can see where pages appear. So currently these pages are only showing on the nav bar. However, now if I tick this, we can see the pages are now appearing on the footer also. If we had a sidebar enabled, you can quickly enable them too. So this is just a really nice user experience improvement that like speeds up the process completely. And I think as time goes on and the more we build on Super, we're going to add more features like this that speed up workflows, make everything easier. Because the last thing you want is for it to be a tedious process to add navigation menu items.
Yeah.
So there we've
And
added.
with sorry,
Yeah,
can I
go
just
ahead,
add
Cam.
something to that? The other thing is when you link to a page in one of the menu items, you can move that page in the pages list to somewhere else. So changing the path of that page, and the menus update to reflect where the page is currently located. So if you are need to change the structure of your site, or need to move a blog post that should be in /blog, then you can do that, and the menus automatically update, so you don't need to go back and change the menu as well. So I find that a time saver too.
Yeah, it's a super handy feature. So now I'm going to look at just customizing the design, firstly with the free features, and then we'll look at what you can do with premium features and custom code. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply just change the primary font. So here I'm in the design menu on the site. And if I come in here, we've got a bunch of fonts built into Super that you can choose. And if you click, we can see the font updating pretty instantly on the site. But we also recently added this new option to upload custom fonts. So if you're interested in that and you want to add an extra layer of branding to your site, more character, that's something you can look at. So just updating the primary font. Also controls for sizing. And actually in this design, I want to remove the header. So let's just go ahead and do that. So with the free features, this is something you can play around with to come up with the style that you like. You can implement your brand as much as possible, but you're going to run into limitations, and at some point you're going to want to add an extra layer of customization. So I'm going to show right now how we add a custom template. So to do that, we need to upgrade the site, and we can see now I'm on a personal plan, and I head into the code page. And in this instance, I'm going to apply the narrative template. So this is a free template that's created by Super. Whilst it is free, you will need to upgrade your site. And it's as simple as copying this snippet from the getting started page, coming into the code page here and hitting paste. So you can see just with that simple snippet, using this free template, almost instantly we have a completely transformed appearance, and it feels way more like a blog. It's no longer looking like Notion, although you can still distinguish the different blocks and the different databases, but it completely transforms the way you can customize your site. You can add, way more of a personal touch. And I think this looks pretty awesome. You could quickly and easily launch a product, service, blog using this. I mean, we haven't been on the live stream very long, but if you already had all this content in Notion, you can see how easy and quickly it is to pull a site together. And yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. We can also click into a page here and see how a subpage is affected. So here we've got database properties enabled by default. We could hide those, and yeah, everything's looking good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So what do we have next?
Well, we've got some questions that some people have asked on Discord, and if there are any other questions in the live chat, then we'll pick up those as well. So one question I've got here is, what's the story behind Super and how did it start? And so it was about 3 or 4 years ago, where Jason was thinking about, well, would it be possible to take a Notion page and turn it into a website? It was kind of like, a proof of concept. Can you do this, and does it work, and is it worth it? And so they did it, and talked about it, and that built a whole lot of interest, around Super, and it launched as a beta, and that was how I discovered it. I was in the same sort of situation as I mentioned before. I had a whole lot of content that I wanted to turn into a website. Is there a way I can make my Notion pages into a website? And when I found Super, it was like, oh my god, this is exactly what I was looking for. Um, and uh, and and so it sort of just gained this natural momentum. It just felt like a really natural way for people to work, and I think it's resonated with thousands of people, as a way to build websites, that's different from copying and pasting your content into a web tool and then trying to lay it out. The thing I like about Super is that I can set up a style for a particular type of block and have that roll out across the whole site. So I don't need to go into every page and do the same formatting, and I really like that. It's a really for me, it's part of the productivity sort of magic that I find really important. And since we've been doing this over that time, Notion has just got stronger and stronger and better, and they're adding more and more features, and it's just becoming such a valuable tool across so many other things that we really haven't considered using any other backend for Super at all, just because we just find Notion so fantastic.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there, I think it's worth saying like Super is a completely bootstrapped company as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it started like really small, really slowly. and over time it's just grown and grown and grown, and I think we'll only continue to grow. And I think the intention is to stay bootstrapped. You know, we want to build it like grassroots together. We're a small team, and I think that's the intention of the founder. And yeah, we'll see where we go. But the team is growing slowly, and as long as Notion
Yeah.
continues to grow, I think we'll continue to grow as well.
Yeah. There's about 8 of us in the team at the moment, so it's a small team still, but it's a good sized team. It's a good sized team to be able to provide the support that we feel everybody needs, as well as continue to build new features and make improvements as we go. And we're all completely distributed. There's no central super office. We're all in different countries. Um, and yeah, so I'm here in Australia. It's morning for me, and Josh is in the UK somewhere, and it's late at night for him. So this is the way of a distributed startup.
Yeah, we also have Jason that's usually based in America. We have Josh that's based in Israel, and the support team is distributed, yeah, pretty much all over
Yeah,
the world. So, yeah.
yeah. So okay, so another question was one about how do we add a discussion forum or allow website visitors to add comments or questions. And so Notion has a commenting feature, and we've deliberately not supported that in Super because we want it to be focused on it being a website. The ability to comment on a Notion page requires authenticated access, and the Notion API is just not up to the to including that capability for what we're doing with Super. So what we recommend is that people embed a tool. Like there's a few of them around. One I recommend is called Discuss. And it's a simple embed that you can add in the custom code or embed on the page, and that allows people to provide comments. And that tool that I recommend has been around for many, many years, works on all sorts of websites. It's pretty robust, and it works really, really well on super sites. So that's what I'd be recommending for that. And I guess related to this, if you have questions about, well, how do I get my super site to do this or that? If you jump onto support, then sometimes we have a known solution for that. We can provide it, or what we can do is we can go and research it and work out a way to do it, and come back to you. So the best way to get answers for how do I integrate comments onto my site, then is to go to support, and we'll help you out with that one.
Yeah, just to say, a lot of people go to Discord as well. We have great community there, a bunch of people. Shout out to Lewis for, people like Lewis just helping out in the community. It really, yeah, helps a ton. And failing that, head to support. The super support is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I felt was really important right at the start for us, was to build the best support we possibly could, because people are building a site on a new tool, and I believe with it we need to provide as much support as we possibly can to help people do that. And so we try and respond immediately. I think our intercom is saying that our average response time is about 10 minutes. So yeah, we think that's pretty good. Hopefully you do too. I have another question here, which is around a subscription feature, and what other features are going to be implemented shortly. One of the things that we've hinted about is that we have some designer tools coming soon. So full interactive design tools that will require no code, no custom code. So they are in the works, and it'll be really great to show you something. I've seen some of the prototypes and how it's working, and it's a really exciting thing. But it's not ready to show off yet. But I know that it's coming. We know that customizing the site is an absolutely essential part of building a website and making it yours. And the designer has been a long time coming, but absolutely on its way. Um, and the subscription feature, that's a highly requested and a very popular use case for Notion and Super. We currently recommend people integrate Outsetter or MemberSpace to be able to do this. I use both of those tools on two different sites, and they're both excellent at what they do. They're really good. And I'd continue to recommend that people do that. We know that people want to see a native super solution for this, and so we're thinking about it.
Yeah, I've got plenty I could say about the designer as well. I've yeah, I would love to show what we've got, but we're going to keep it under wraps for a little longer. It's still in development, we're still in the phase of figuring out the best way to do it. But um, I also wanted to say just quickly that because we're a small team and because I feel like we actually have like a bunch of really big features that we feel like a core to Super, that it can often feel like we're not releasing features. That's because we're working so hard behind the scenes on the big features that we believe are core to Super and core to building websites. So I think once they're out of the way, it's going to be more or less improving what we have, improving the user experience, quality of life updates. But until then, we're really focusing on the big features. Um, and whilst we can't show or say too much, I'm going to share my screen really quickly just to show an image we shared in a blog post. I think last week or the week before in regards to Notion sites, just showing off the designer. So for those that haven't seen it, here is just the image we shared. It's a mock-up of what we've been working on, and it's just going to be a completely interactive and new way to customize sites on Super. It's not going to be a case of using, inputs and sliders or custom code. It's going to be a completely interactive design experience, very similar to the likes of Framer and Figma. But also, just to say, we understand and appreciate that not everybody's a designer. So we're making sure that this design tool is accessible and simple enough to use for the average user as well. So it's not
Yeah.
being super complex. It's, ensuring the interface is clean and simple, that there's information and messages where you need it. So yeah, really excited for you all to use that and show that.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I will say on that as well is this is in kind of conjunction with how we want to improve how templates work. So with the design, you're essentially going to be able to create a bunch of preset styles that can be packaged up and distributed within Super itself. It's not going to be a requirement to use custom code or even a requirement to use a specific Notion page. So yeah, the potential for this is going to be huge, and I think it's fair to say you could probably expect to see it uh, in I think Q3 this year.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I would add to that is one of the intentions in terms of the experience we would like people to have of this is that when they use it, they feel capable. And it's like, yeah, I did this myself, and I did what I wanted to be able to do myself, and that feeling of capability and satisfaction of being able to build and customize your own site, I think is an important one. So we want the tools to be really powerful, but really easy to use and really quite satisfying as well. And also by not breaking the magic. So one of the things that I mentioned before about the magic of using Super is that you can set a style that will apply across a whole site. And we want to be able to maintain that with these design tools as well, so that you can very quickly, and certainly for creating templates, or if you're a designer creating a site for a customer, then being able to set some styles and have them apply across the whole site is going to be really fast workflow. So that's another important aspect for this work.
Yeah. And just to say, we got a question from Lewis. Sorry, will the beta for the Super Designer anytime soon? I can't say. I don't think at this point we can say when the beta will release, but we will be releasing a beta before we launch the full version.
Yeah, I think, Lewis, we're probably looking at least 6 weeks away from an alpha or beta
Mm.
preview. So just hold your breath on that one. But yeah, absolutely, this is going to go through some extensive beta testing, because the quality of what we build is really, really important. And what we've found with the recent betas that we've done is the feedback that we get from people has been just so invaluable in improving and refining the product before launch, that with this tool, with the designer tools, then we want to do that as well.
Yeah. So I have a few questions here, kind of in relation to customization, design, that kind of thing. So I'm going to run through them. So the first one, how can I make use of a dev or test environment when making a new website public? For instance, experimenting with new designs, themes for my website. I think this was answered pretty well by Jason in our Discord community, but just to like reiterate, there is the option to use a free super site. So, using the subdomain and enabling manual publishing to create like a mini dev test environment. And you can have an unlimited amount of free sites that are not active, develop them in the dashboard, and then enable them when you're happy. So you can essentially use that. But I think in the future we will definitely be improving how dev environment works, especially in regards to design and customization. Um, and another thing, a kind of related follow-up question is, as a template creator, can we have the ability to create a demo option so potential customers can preview the custom coded site before purchasing? So I think we will definitely be implementing that. We'll be working close with template creators to create like a seamless experience and allowing them to host demo sites essentially for free. But I think if you are a template creator or you have a template that passes our requirements right now, you can get in touch and we can, talk about hosting preview sites for you.
Yeah, and one of the things that's related to both of these is if you have an upgraded site, and you've built a prototype of a new one, and you want to be able to cut your subscription over from the original site to the new site, we can do that for you in support. So it's not something you can do from the dashboard at the moment in terms of cutting over a subscription, but it's something that we can do for you at the back end. So if you are experimenting with a new site and you want to cut over but not take out a new subscription for the new site and pay the extra month, give us a call, and we'll help you migrate that subscription over to the other site.
Yeah, we had a bunch of other questions as well that were just like simple requests, feature requests. And so I just want to say that the best place to do that is actually on our feature request site. We have an entire website dedicated to requesting features and upvoting features that you want to see. So to get there, you can head to feedback.super.so. It's a great platform and it allows the community to kind of have a say in what we develop and when we develop. So one of the questions was, for example, we need a simple way to center things and hide things. And we agree. Without custom code, it's not super easy to do that kind of thing right now. But all that's going to become possible with the new design feature.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. Well, I think that covers all of the questions. I think if anyone has any last minute questions in the chat, let us know. But we're always around on Twitter and Discord to follow up any further questions. But I think that's pretty much it for today.
Yeah. So we'll be back again with another live stream, and get your questions ready for that one. And we can go whatever way you want. So if you want to go more into the details of how to do something particular, or you want to how to make a particular type of site, then we can make these live streams do whatever you want. So let us know in Discord, and we'll see you in the next live stream.
Yeah, just to finish, I think this is the very first live stream, and we hope to do more. I think something I would really love to do a live stream on is working more closely with custom code. So for people that are interested in that, just showing how to create a simple workflow that allows you to customize your site using custom code, using the browser developer tools. So yeah, anyone's interested in learning anything in more detail, let us know and we can explore that. Great. Okay. Well, thanks everyone
Awesome.
for joining us. Yeah, thanks for your patience with us getting started, and we hope to see you again very soon.
All right. Very good. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Cam.
See you later.